get going. So, all right, welcome to Wapiti Wednesday live Q&A for May 8th, 2024. Man, can't believe it's May. The season's going to be here before we know it. So, okay. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to kind of walk through my spring, summer scouting routine. When I start, how it goes, and all that kind of stuff. So, I actually, right now is a great time to get up in the mountains. Reason being is, we're just going to have to start all over again because here comes Mr. Jim late and no camera connecting to audio. And now he's muted, just like that. That quick. Well, welcome there, Mr. Jim. So, you are muted, by the way, so if you're talking, we can't hear you. So, all right, so my scouting regime, spring through summer to the start of the season. Um, right now is a great time to get to the mountains because what's happening right now is bulls are starting to return to the high country. And the reason right now is a great time to get up there is because there's still a little bit of snow up there. And you can use that snow to track the bulls really easy to find the areas that they're going to. I use this time and I use the excuse of turkey hunting or bear hunting to really track bulls going to the high country, going to their summer grounds. So once I've kind of located them and have that narrowed down, then I am going to start at that point. Going to start kind of figuring out where I want to place trail cameras. So I'm looking for a few different things. Man, Sandy, here we thought it was just going to be you and I, and now all of a sudden everybody and their dogs just popping in. I guess they just wanted to be fashionably late tonight. So, but
We let anybody in these days.
yeah, I know. So, but no. So once I followed those tracks in the snow and have kind of located where these bulls are heading up to the into their summer area, that's where I'm really going to start looking around, in that area that I may want to place some trail cameras. It's not so much that I'm really looking for rutting grounds with those cameras. It's more so I want to take inventory of the bulls that are in that summer range. Is there anything, potential? Is there anything close by? And then once I have their spots located, then I'm going to start looking at the map and going, okay, they're up here. Cows and calves are probably down there. Let's start looking in the middle for possible rutting areas. And that's where I'll start looking for old rubs, old wallows, just start working different elevations on the mountain. And really what I'm doing in the spring is I'm really trying to figure out where I want to put my trail cameras. So, and I usually don't put my trail cameras out until June. And that's really when I start running all my trail cameras. So, um, so that kind of takes us through spring now into early summer, and it's time to set the trail cameras out. I'm going to set my trail cameras in a few different places. One, I already mentioned I'm going to set cameras up high where the bulls are because I want to take inventory of who's there, what do they look like, all that kind of stuff. I'm I'm kind of starting to develop my hit list. So for the season, which one do I really want to target on? Of course, that hit list goes out the window once season comes along and I hear the first bull bugle and it's okay, yeah, hey, cool, look, there's a bull, let's go. So, um, although this year, I can tell you right now, this year there is a specific bull that's on my hit list. If he made it through the winter, he is going to be my on my hit list, a number one, and that's going to be my focus for the first 2 weeks of the season. Of course, there's a little wrinkle in this coming season. So my wife upgraded her bow, and now she is absolutely excited about archery hunting.
Hey,
So, in fact, now all of a sudden she's like, oh, I need to get my archery education done. And oh, I can do that online. And just so, and I told her, I said, you know exactly what's going to happen. this growler bull that I encountered last year, you are going to come on your first archery hunt, and that is going to be the first bull that is going to come into your lap. And her response was, there's not going to be any way in the world that I'm going to be able to execute a shot on a bull like that. And I'm like, bull crap. I will tell you this, though. If you do hold your composure together and you execute that shot, you just set your bar up here, which you will never, ever, ever, ever probably obtain again on a public land hunt in Idaho. So, but what a great way to start. So yeah, so setting those cameras up high. And then I'm also going to, because some of these cameras I'm going to leave out until season. So that's where I'm going to set them by wallows, travel corridors, all that kind of stuff. The reason, especially travel corridors, the reason those are important is because that's going to give you direction of travel and time of day. And it's going to help you pattern those elk. So then basically, you know exactly, okay, here's the travel corridors. I know, and it's, I actually have been asked this question. Well, how can you tell that they're going different directions? Well, because in the morning they're facing that direction, and in the evening they're facing that direction. That's that's a pretty good indication that morning they're going that way and evening they're going that way. So that tells me which way they're traveling. So now the one thing I do is I do a numbering system. All my cameras are numbered, and I have two SD cards per camera, and those SD cards are numbered to match that camera. Now, this is why that's important, because I want to know exactly which picture came from which camera. Now, the way I do it, so this is 2024. So wherever I set camera number 1, I will drop a pin on OnX, and I will label that pin 1-24. That tells me that I put camera number 1 in that spot in 2024. Now, the cool thing is I can go back and I can take a look at, and I use the trail camera logo. I can go back to pins in past years, and I can see which camera I put where, and then I can go into one of my external hard drives and I can pull, because I create folders based on camera numbers. So just like my cameras are numbered, the folders are numbered, and then within that folder I have the year. So I can go back to camera number 1 from 2020, and I can take a look at the pictures of what was on that camera in 2020. And then I can decide, you know what? I haven't been back in that spot for a while. I don't remember what all was in there. So then I can go back and look through however many years I had the camera in that spot. I can go through the pictures, and then maybe it's going to be like, you know what? Kind of think that I maybe need to go back into that spot again. Or now I remember why I don't go back into that spot anymore. It's just more information to help you plan your hunts and plan your routes. And by the time September comes around, you have a really, really good game plan of what's going on. Now, once I set those cameras in June, let's say I put a camera on a wallow and there's 3 trails coming in and out, I may set cameras, go 100 yards down the trail, 150 yards down the trail on each of those trails, and set cameras. Now, once I set a camera, I only go back in every 3 weeks. I don't repeatedly go back in. I want to stay out of there as much as possible. And when I go in, all I do is go in, open my camera, pull the card out, put the new card in, close it, and off to the next one. I don't spend much time there. I don't want to spend time in there. Now, once I gather those, the first swap, and take a look at the pictures, I'm going to make a determination. No, I'm going to let these cameras soak a little bit more, or I'm going to pull it on the next trip. And yes, there has been times where I've made the decision to pull it the next trip. I pull it, and then I get into camp and I start looking at the pictures, and it's like, God dang it, I need to go put this camera back, because there was really nothing interesting the 3 weeks prior, but now there is. And you kind of go with your gut feeling because sometimes your gut's going to tell you, I think you really need to leave this camera here because you may not see much in June, you may not see much in July, but all of a sudden August comes along and it's now what I will do sometimes wallow 3 trails. Let's say 2 of the trails I have decent traffic on, but the third one, nothing. I may pull that third one and move it farther down the trail from one of the other ones so I can establish more of a longer travel route and travel corridor and get a better idea. Because it could be a sunken little ravine, little draw that has a wallow in it. And okay, they're coming out onto this trail out to the face, but now what are they doing? Are they hanging a left? Are they hanging a right? Or are they coming from the left or are they coming from the right? Because that's valuable information to know. Because, if they're coming across the face and rolling into this, say from the left, then I know in the morning I can come, and as long as I'm down below that, winds are blowing in my favor because they're gonna basically be coming across hill, and as soon as they turn in there, that wind's still gonna be in their nose. I'm down underneath, but there's a chance that when they're coming across the face, I'm in good position that I can work them and set up for a shot. So that kind of gets us through June. June, it's kind of getting the camera set to kind of let them soak a little bit. Once it comes into July, July is where I start spending time on the glass, and I let binos do the walking for me. At this point, I've already spent time in the area in May. I've spent time in the area in June. I've got my camera set. Now it's time to work those tall ridges, and that's where with us those motorcycle trails come into play because we'll ride those motorcycle trails and just get 2, 3, 4 miles back in, get up on a high point. Now here's a little tip for glassing. Always glass with the sun at your back. So if you have a deep canyon and figure it out where you're on the east ridge in the morning and the west ridge in the evening, the sun's always at your back because it's really, really tough to glass towards the sun. Your glass really just bleeds out. So now throughout July, I am once in July, well, depending on where it hits, going in and swapping cards. August is where I really, really start to pay attention because we're getting closer to the rut. That activity's kind of starting, especially as you get later in August. Now it's, bulls are getting hard horn. They're establishing their pecking order, also getting an idea of where the cows are, where those bulls are going to go to round them up. Now I'm starting to develop my first of the season tactic. Now, the one thing with my cameras, I will pull them at the end of August, right as soon as the season starts. And in fact, any cameras that I still have out when the season starts, my first couple of hunts are loops that I can do to pull my cameras out. It's not that I'm not curious and I don't want to leave them out there. It's I hunt public land and there's other people and I don't want to lose cameras. I lose enough to stinking bears. I don't want to lose any to people. So, okay. Questions, thoughts? I see a lot of head shaking and oh yeah, nothing.
So I've got a very limited camera supply at this point.
Okay.
With that in mind, you suggest focusing on wallows versus trails, that kind of stuff, or just look around, evaluate, and throw them out?
Look around and evaluate. If you have a limited, you can focus them on one spot. That's where you could put it on one wallow and put the trails coming in and out and get the information from that right there. Now, trail cameras. I have Spy Point, I have Moultrie, I have Wild Game Innovations, I have a bunch of different ones. Sportsman's Warehouse has a 3 pack of cameras that are about this big. They're tiny, which I love the fact that they're tiny until I'm going back in for the first time and trying to find those suckers because you very rarely drop your pin right on top of where you put it. So, but it's 3 cameras. I think they're 16 to 18 megapixel, and I want to say it's like 59.99 for all 3 of them, and they come with batteries and SD cards. Yeah,
It's a good deal.
yeah, not a bad deal at all. Here's the thing with trail cameras. A lot of people will tell you, oh, you have to get the $400 cameras. The picture that they take is amazing and this and that. I don't give 2 shits. I just want to see, is it a bull or a cow? How many horns? A 16 to 18 megapixel. And then it's, do you go with the flash or do you go with the blackout or this or that? I've run both. It really doesn't spook them that bad at night. If I have a preference, I'd rather go blackout than with flash type at night. Then there's also, oh, well, do you do pictures or do you do videos? I normally do pictures with about a 10 to 15-second trigger delay. Otherwise, you're going to get a ton of pictures of a bull's or cow's nostril sitting right in front of the camera because they keep flaring the nostril and the camera keeps taking pictures of a nostril. If you want 15 to 20 pictures of that, great, do it. I will switch it to video sometimes, especially in August. If there's some good things I'm seeing on the camera, I will switch it to video and get some video of the elk that are coming in. But in reality, you're just trying to get information. Who's there? What time are they coming through? What direction are they going? That's really the purpose of trail cameras, just to help you plan your hunt. So yes, it's really cool to watch videos of them walking and eating. And oh, the other thing too, when you set your trail camera, step back and take a look at it. Make sure that there's no low-hanging branches that can trigger the camera. Otherwise, you will end up with a bunch of pictures of nothing, and all of a sudden you're going to go, what the heck? And it's like, oh, I'll bet you the wind was blowing that day.
You
Yeah,
had to hear the thunder.
1,000 pictures of grass blades in the wind.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you can also too, last year that one camera, those elk messed with that camera so much that they did 3 full revolutions of that camera around that tree. So, which was kind of cool because they did me a favor because I was focused on this direction, and when they turned it to that direction, there was a really, really nice solid bull that was coming from that direction that I'm like, thank you. Now I know which way he's coming into this. So I don't think they really meant to do that, but yes, elk are very, very, very curious. They will sniff it, lick it. I remember one year I had a camera on a wallow and there was a spike that just would not leave that camera alone. And in fact, I offered Chris $50 for him to kill that spike so that he would not be a raghorn the next year and continue to mess with my camera on that wallow. But Chris didn't want to shoot spike. So
I volunteer.
he didn't shoot a bull at all that year. But yeah, the other cool thing about trail cameras is the other things that you pick up. I mean, I picked up bobcats, mountain lion, a bear with a cub, a bear with twins. I mean, it's just so cool the different things that you can pick up. So
I agree. Yeah, there are a lot of wildlife come through.
and honestly, when you go to get the trail camera, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I'm anxious to get back to camp and pop that thing in the computer and take a look at it. So it got so bad one time that I actually did buy an SD card viewer that's like a 7-inch screen. But I mean, usually when making the loop, it's to make that loop as quick as possible and then get back to camp. And I just like looking on the laptop. I can zoom in and see more detail and see, a bigger picture and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, always excited to see what's on there. And of course, always get excited when you start rolling through pictures. Then it's like, oh, elk. So I don't know how many times I did that with Liz last year. The first time I picked up the cameras, because we had 3 cameras out, and the very first one grabbed it, and I'm like, elk, a bull, another bull, oh, a cow, and that calf has spots. Look at that. Oh, look at that buck. And she's just laughing, and then I'm like, okay, we have two more cameras, 2 more cards. Nothing. Suck. Nothing. Ugh. Let's go back to the first one. So, and then actually, camera number 2, I ended up moving it, and then that was the one that when I went in, I was really worried when I went in because we stopped at the first one, and the first time I swapped the card, I had 37 pictures, and then I went back the second time and I opened it up and it said 0, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, no, batteries are working, everything's working, the card's seated. Did somebody mess with this? Because on that one, if you tap the SD card, it'll come out just a little bit and it won't. But you get an error code, and I didn't get any of that. And so I, pulled the card out, put it back in, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I pulled it out, and I'm like, oh, that's an SD card for my video camera, not for my trail camera. It doesn't work in the trail cameras. So pay attention to the SD cards that you're actually putting into the trail cameras. Then camera number 2, that's when we moved it, and I got to that one, and I'm like, good Lord, Bryce, we have 187 pictures on this thing. He's like, what? And it was 187 pictures of elk and deer. There was nothing else on that one. But it was, you could tell at one time that a rancher had put a salt block there for the cattle, because it was a place that they came into the trees, and I mean, it was pawed out, 18 inches down. So, and then the third one, I had really, really high hopes for that one. And the only thing I got that was the third time went and checked it, and was a little tiny bear that you could probably make a moccasin out of that wandered through the tall grass. So, but trail cameras are a lot of fun. You can really get into it. They give you a ton of useful information. And that's pretty much what I do spring through summer for my scouting and trail camera endeavors.
You guys are lucky. We
Father,
can't use them here.
do you bother with the phone cameras at all?
No, because I mean, where I have my cameras, you got to hike. You got to hike and you got to find them. So, I've thought about it, but I mean, honestly, it's kind of one of those things where you have to pay for a subscription. You got to pay for the pictures that you download and this and that. And I'm like, to me, that's part of the fun, to get up there and hike and swap them out. If it was another state, or if I had to drive all the way across the state, I would probably think differently about it. So the cellular cameras, they're becoming more and more and more popular. But I can guarantee the first time a bear comes in and chews it up, you're going to be pissed that you just lost $495. And bears like trail cameras. I don't know what I don't know what it is about that. You'll get a picture of them just walking down the trail, and the next thing you know, their face is just they hear that shutter speed and the curiosity, and then they got to go over, they got to sniff it, lick it,
Bite it.
yes, pull it off the tree. So then the next picture is you're looking at all these pictures. Oh, cool. Oh, there's a bear. Oh, he's on the camera. Well, there's a picture of the sky. There's another
Inside
picture.
his mouth.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Pull it off the tree. Now you're just getting
It was.
sky. So, and in fact, I still have that camera. I still use that camera, and it's one of my best producing cameras. Even though the cover shield on all the black lights is gone, and I've got tooth marks in it and everything like that. But
The other thing about cell cameras is you have to have cell connection out there for them to be any good, right?
yes. Yeah, that's the other thing with them too, and there's just some places that go that you don't have that capability, and
You can still do the SD card exchange with those,
yeah,
not do the cellular or the Wi-Fi.
you can, but if you're just going to do that anyway, why pay the money for the cellular cameras if you're not going to use that feature
We
on it?
use the Wi-Fi or the cellular ones and put them in different areas, and it kind of gives us an idea of where we might want to go that day or that evening. Or if other are in there, then we'll avoid that area.
Oh, so you leave them out during the summer and you use those to tell you what activity in other areas
Yeah,
in your hunt area?
yeah. I
Yeah.
have two that I set them up out in the backyard just to see what critters are coming through, and it's entertaining. A lot of squirrels, a lot of squirrels.
We got a lot of those in this valley, a lot of them. So, um, but yeah, so it's getting to be that time of year to get going. I was telling Sandy before you guys jumped on, I can't believe here we are, first part of May already, and crap, season's going to be here before we know it.
I guess the moose draw info was released today.
Yep, buddy of mine drew. So I don't know what area he drew, but yeah, moose, mountain goat, and bighorn. So moose, goat, and sheep. So, ooh, in fact, I need to get hard draw put together and get that put in, since we're all going to put in for that one. And now that since Liz is going to hunt with us, that's what Bryce and Brandon said. You are putting Liz, you're putting Liz first on the card, right? So we get the women preference. Idaho does give preference to women and kids.
Really?
So if you put in as a party in Idaho, make sure that you put a woman or a child first. So yeah, we're gonna put her. I doubt we're gonna draw as a party of 4 with only 15 tags, but stranger things, it has happened to me once before. The only tag I've ever drawn in Idaho.
I was thinking about going deer hunting this year, up right across the road from where we elk hunt. But the archery season, they dropped, there's only 25 deer allowed out. Used to be archers just had it. Now they put allotment on it, 25. You have to call every day to make sure it's not full. But when the general season come up, there's 350 tags in the same area. Now, would you explain that to me, please? It's not the archers taking the deer out.
They want the money from the rifle hunters.
Apparently they do.
Mm-hmm. It's the only thing I can think of. So don't make no sense.
Washington just extended their special hunt applications. They must not have made enough money, so they extended the time to put in.
No, they want to get you guys out there and give you opportunities to hunt all you can before they reintroduce the grizzly bears, and then your hunting goes to absolute crap.
Already crap in this state.
Well, it's going to get worse because they're bringing grizzlies back to your state in the Cascades.
Oh yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. In fact,
They bring in the tropical grizzlies from the state parks and drop them off.
well,
Ones that they state
I know,
parks.
I know Corey Jacobson posted a picture yesterday. His buddy's over in eastern Idaho, and there's a grizzly that's scratching his back on his bear bait. That top of that 55-gallon drum barely goes up to the butt of this grizzly.
That's a
Oh my
big
God.
bear.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And the comments were, oh, that would be a prime candidate to send to Washington. The dude's a tank. I mean, that's got to be a 700-pound grizzly boar. I mean, he's just a toad. So
Hmm.
just wait. They'll introduce them, and then when some hiker gets mauled or killed, then people will be, I didn't think this was going to happen. Nobody told us this would happen. Yeah, we did tell you. You just chose not to listen.
There were no warning signs.
No. So, all right, back to the topic at hand. Any questions on spring, summer scouting, trail camera use, anything like that?
Nope.
Can't
Good
use them
job.
here, so
What's that?
I can't use them here.
I know you guys, I don't know
Yeah,
why.
get hosed.
You used to be able to use them, but you had to
Yep,
pull them
a
before
couple
seeing.
years ago.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, and then they changed it to where you can't even use them at all. I think what happened with that is the competition on the water tanks became so bad that it was becoming
that's
such a
it.
fight.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
When you're picking cameras, are you looking at the distance that they can pick up stuff? Now that's 55 feet, 60 feet, 80 feet, whatever.
Not really. Most of them all have trigger length that's fine. That will get you. Oh, the other tip I'm going to give you is make sure when you set cameras, you face it north, not south. Face
Yeah,
it north.
put the sun behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
So,
don't have to east, west, no sun.
no, do not face them east, west. Do not face them south. Face them north, and you will not get any sun glare on any of your pictures, no matter what time of day it is. So, but no, there's plenty out there. The other thing you can do is check camofire.com. A lot of times they have Trail Cam Tuesdays where you can get cameras at great prices, and a lot of times they have bundles where it's multiple cameras with safety cables and SD cards, and so that's a place where I picked up a lot of my cameras. All my Spy Points, I got those when I was on the Spy Point national US team. So, and they just sent cameras to play with. I probably should have held on to that one. So I should have stayed on that one. So then I could have gotten some of those fancy cellular cameras. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with one last tip. You guys have heard me talk about it before. Wear your sunscreen.
Oh my.
Ooh,
Spot number 5 that got cut out. Crazy thing is, look at the size of that.
Yeah.
The
The spot
lengthy,
the spot they cut out was smaller than an M&M.
Goodness.
Yeah. So
really?
yeah,
Goodness.
wear your sunscreen.
Benign?
It's basal cell carcinoma.
Basal, yeah. Yeah.
No, basal. If you're gonna have skin cancer, basal cell's the one you want to get because all they do is slice and stitch. And of course, depending on whether you have Mohs or non-Mohs, you could be sitting there for a while because they cut some, then look at it underneath a microscope, and then come back and cut a little bit more, or say, "Yep, we got it all." This one they didn't do Mohs. They're like, "We're just gonna take plenty." And when I looked down at the incision, I was like, "Well, thank you for leaving part of my forearm when you were done. Appreciate that."
No kidding.
But yeah, so there's the PSA, public service announcement for tonight. Wear your sunscreen anytime you're out. So
Perfect.
on the video, I want to give you a compliment. I emailed that or text you that the other
yeah,
day, that
appreciate
from
that.
the field part where you have the actual sound of the elk that you can do, and your suggestion to record yourself, that has been so beneficial. That
Good,
was a great suggestion.
good. Yeah, I'm putting together some others. I've got Location Bugle, and I've got a couple of others that I'm going to be throwing in there. Just hard part is that one external hard drive that I have that has like 5-6 years worth of videos from September from hunts. It's just not opening, and I think I'm gonna have to break down and just send it back to Seagate and have them try to open it up and put all that stuff on another one and send it to me because that has pretty much, I mean, there's probably 2 hours from a Colorado hunt that you guys will hear the breeding sequence. You will hear the buzz mew. You will hear the regathering. I mean, just everything that I can take that and chop it down. And I really, really want to get access to that so I can finish. But yeah, no, appreciate that. Yeah, I was glad to hear. And yeah, when you record, especially when you run your recording nonstop on that, so you hear the cow and then you hear you and then you hear the cow and then hear you. So the other thing I was going to expand on that is when you're recording, if you can turn it and face it towards you, So that way you can see exactly what you're doing with mouth manipulation, whether you're dropping your jaw or what you're doing with your mouth to mimic that. Then that's just going to help even more, because then it's auditory and visual both going, okay, now I know what I need to do. Because otherwise, if the camera's facing the other way and you do match it perfectly, it's like, ooh, what did I do that one time that's different than the 6 others or whatever? So, but no, glad that was helpful.
Yeah. I turned the phone face down so I couldn't see anything. It was just a black screen because I was just going for the recording.
Yeah, next time you do it, face it to you, because then, like I said, if there's one that you really like that matches really well, you can see exactly what you're doing with your mouth.
Yeah.
So
Good suggestion.
perfect. All right, guys, well, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. I'm gonna go watch another episode of Game of Thrones before I turn in for the night. So,
All right.
as always, guys, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, they'll have fun, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great one,
Thanks,
everybody.
Amigo.
Sounds good.
See you
Yeah.
guys.
See you guys.
Thanks a lot.